Hi, everybody. It's Chris Grimm, and this is Deep Work Fast. And I'm excited to be live back here with you. I've been away for a while. You might not have noticed. I know you noticed. Anyway, so let's just jump into what we're going to do today. I thought, based on some things that have been happening lately in my coaching sessions of teams and individuals, uh, is needing this one tool a lot. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to do Deep Work Fast on this tool, which I'm going to talk to you about in a few minutes. But I want to set some context for you so that you know why this tool is important. And if you've already read our blog, you know that I'm talking about something called the medicine wheel. Don't get scared. Don't stop listening right now just because it has a weird name, or maybe you think that's weird. So I want to come all the way back and talk about why this is important. Our signature approach is Deep Work Fast. That means we're not messing around in our coaching or our work with teams. So all of our tools, or at least the ones I've been collecting for the last almost 28 years, should be tools that get to the seed point or the root of issues as quickly as we can. We also need tools that are able to create what's called a pattern interrupt, because most of the behavior, so even if you're having business problems, somewhere in there, there's probably a wish that you have that you and or your team members or your family members, if you're thinking about home problems, need to do something different. For any of us to do something different sustainably, like change something forever, that's what we call changing sustainably, right? Make it new decisions better all the time, be on time forever all the time in a better way. Do what you say you're going to do better all the time forever, right? Like when we ask ourselves and other people to change, most of the time we want that behavior to change, not just one time, forever. That is really, really hard to do if we don't not just commit to the change, because that's the easy part, actually, but we have to get to the seed point of why that behavior has not been happening, or maybe why it's going to meet a lot of resistance. And sometimes that's outside of us, but oftentimes it's inside you first. So the reason we need a tool that's a pattern interrupt is that you, me, all of us are operating mostly using habitual patterns. If you've ever listened to me before or worked with me before, you've probably heard this. We are habitual animals. It means that we have consistent patterns that we do all the time. That's what makes up our personality. That's what makes up our style. So, regardless of the kind of assessments you might have taken or how you've learned this in the past, we are animals that do things pretty consistently, even if our consistently is inconsistent. You might do that consistently. No matter what, we're looking at the reasons why things are happening and how we might change that. So we need tools that are going to interrupt the patterns that are your default habitual patterns. And for that to happen, you literally have to be stopped in your tracks. Now, most of us don't love that, even though we say we want to change. And so the tool I'm going to introduce you today is a pattern interrupting tool. And I'll tell you about it, and I'm going to talk about why it pattern interrupts. But first, I want to anchor into something that also is seemingly and interestingly very surprising to people, but more and more people are understanding this. Like, the cause of most of our ineffective and or bad behavior is usually what's happening in our nervous system at any moment in time. And your nervous system is either regulated or it's what's called dysregulated. So if this is new for you, maybe you want to make a note of this mentally or write it down, right? So our nervous systems at any moment in time are either regulated. Let's talk about what that means. Regulated means calm. It means you are able to listen without fear. Your nervous system maybe managed, so you're not reactionary. You're able to think first and respond on purpose to things. Maybe your anxiety level is low, or your annoyance and frustration is low. And so, first of all, we each have our normal regulated state. There are definitely people, you might be one of them. I've had times in my life where I'm not at like a 0 point. My normal way of operating was kind of up here, right? I was in fight or flight, or I was like stressed out all the time. It is important that you know what your normal everyday state of your nervous system is. It is important that you know what situations where you are the situations where you feel more calm, versus the times when your calm goes away. Some people say to me, this person or this situation, I get anxious even before I go to the meeting, or I get anxious before I talk to that person. So it takes their peace or their calm away, and it takes you up a notch, or whatever language and thinking you have. Like I said, it doesn't matter what your brain is saying. It matters what's happening in your body, because our nervous system actually is doing something in our body oftentimes before we tell our brain and we name it, believe it or not, right? Your body is uh, highly sensitive to threats. And so we're running all day, every day, and our nervous system is constantly, trying to ensure that we're protected, that it can respond to threats at any moment in time. And so that part of our brain called the amygdala, our reptilian brain, 24/7, it's scanning the environment for threats. And our nervous system is ready at any moment in time to send the impulses to us to take action if needed, to run away, fight, flight, or freeze, right? A regulated nervous system is relaxed, it's calm, or as close to calm as possible. And because of that, it's not sending any warning signals to our brain. So our brain can then focus and be clear headed on whatever is going on in the situation, or the next decision you have to make, or if you're planning or writing, whatever, you can actually do that without the disruption of your body telling you that we need to worry about something, or that we need to prepare for something that's uncomfortable. The opposite of regulated is called dysregulated. A dysregulated nervous system is a nervous system that's not calm. So at the very least, it is maybe a little anxious, or, when you get those feelings in your body, like some people will say to me, I don't know, it doesn't feel right in my gut. I've had people say to me before they go into a meeting or before they make a presentation, oh, I feel nauseous, or my body doesn't feel right. I'm feeling uncomfortable. I can't get settled. I can't sit still in my chair, right? All of those are signals that your nervous system could be dysregulated, maybe because it's sensing a threat, because you believe a certain story about whatever's about to happen, or maybe you've just come out of a situation. Maybe you had a heated conversation with someone at home. Maybe you had traffic on the way to work if you're commuting back to the office. If you think about life, that's what happens. And so our nervous system, now that I'm bringing your attention to it, it's always doing something. It's never off. It's always working for us. And so that dysregulated nervous system, if we go into that all the time, and like I was saying, when I coach people, oftentimes I'm in the beginning getting to know, how stressed out are you? What is the environment that you're in at work and at home? And can you relax? When are you the most calm? When are you the opposite of that? And what is your version of that story? Now, people who are having issues, oftentimes I'm called to coach people and teams when the situation's not optimal, maybe when there's been bad behavior, when there's consistent conflict. And so a part of that is often this kind of conversation with the humans, right, about what is going on. And are you able to respond and function from a regulated nervous system, or are you always dysregulated? And can you control that? Like, are you conscious of this? So the reason I'm spending so much time on this is sometimes when I start coaching people, they're really surprised that I say, stop trying to tell me about the work story or the home story or what the other people are doing and saying. Help me understand what this feels like in your body before you send the email, before you do the thing. Because again, why? Well, I want to solve the problem forever. And so we need to get back to that, what I call the origin or the seed point of the issues. And your body never lies. Never lies. Our body keeps the score. In fact, there's a book called The Body Keeps the Score. It's fantastic. If you don't know about it, grab that book. Heather, if you can grab that mission control and put it in the chat, that would be really, really great. If you can't, everybody, The Body Keeps the Score. I don't even remember the author's name. It's fantastic. But it's about that. It's about every experience we have in our whole life. Our body is storing that experience. And it recalls that when situations look, feel, sound, smell, taste, whatever, similar to those old memories. It comes up in our memory banks, and our nervous system tries to get in front of any potential problems. So if you don't know about that, you should try it because it's working with you every day, which is why my blog this week is called Heal the Past so that you can create the future. Because I find that one of the biggest blocks to creating sustainable change is when I have a person who is unaware about what's happening in their body. And so they're just constantly in this default mode, which oftentimes is a fairly linear, predictable process. And they just keep repeating it even when it's turning out badly. So I want to introduce this tool to you. It is a very elegant, simple tool. It is a pattern interrupting tool because it's circular. And I want you to note this, right? We are pretty linear most days, right? Most people are going through their day. I'm sure you are going through your day with checklists of things to do. That's what I mean by linear, right? If you write a list of things or you type it in your phone or you have a calendar that gets you scheduled hour by hour, minute by minute, task by task, that's what we call a linear process. And most of us run our lives like that. Every day with a calendar, hour by hour, right? So to break that pattern enough to allow you to interrupt it and do something different, it helps to use ideas, models, and concepts that aren't all linear. Now, what you'll note is in business, if you're in business and you're watching this, any kind of business, we end up for efficiency using a lot of linear processes. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And while the model I'm going to show you does have a process, it's not made to have a beginning and an end. It's made for you to use it over and over again as needed to get to the seed point so that we can eradicate whatever was in the past that might be still living in your nervous system and in your brain so that you can do new things in a sustainable way. So, okay, Heather, mission control, help me out. In the chat also, Heather has put a link. Everything I'm going to show you right now, you can put it up, Heather. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I would die without Heather, everybody. Okay, so this is called the medicine wheel. Don't let this throw you off. I know you're going to be like, wait, what? Medicine? This is the reaction most people have, especially if I'm doing this in a business environment. They say, what are you, a doctor now? No. So what you are looking at, if you are looking at this, and if you're just listening, I will describe it to you. This is a very elegant, simple model. It's been around for hundreds, if not thousands of years. And I'll talk about the origin in a minute. I don't want that to get in the way of you listening to me and thinking about how you might use it. It is a circle. It is divided by 2 axes. You will note that the 2 lines are labeled with what are called the cardinal directions: north, south, east, and west. The medicine wheel has been used by Native American indigenous people for, like I said, hundreds, if not thousands of years, both in the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. I am not from that descent that I know about anyway, and you might not be either. But I would love for you to get some appreciation for this tool because we use it all the time. I teach it to people all the time because it works. and it has been working for a long time. They call it the medicine wheel because it's medicine. It helps us heal whatever is on the inside of us that might be impacting what's happening on the outside of us. The medicine wheel that I teach the most, talk about a pattern interrupt, everybody, starts in the south. So when I say pattern interrupt, remember I was saying to you, we're used to linear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So by giving you a model that's a circle, that's an interruption. Your brain has to actually stop and think. By giving you something that uses terminology that you're not used to using in your family and in your business, most likely, that's also a pattern interrupt. You have to think to use it, and you have to challenge your normal thinking and all those habitual patterns so that you can apply this. And so even though it's not hard, it does its job of interrupting the old thinking. Now, I like to teach people that you can just use this almost like a game board, and many of the great models, I believe, are like that. And this goes clockwise, pattern interrupt, starting from the south. And I'm going to tell you why in a minute, but if you'll just note the easy way to use this wheel, and I'm going to tell you why you would use it in a minute. We start in the south, and then we go clockwise to the west, and then to the north, and then to the east. And you'll notice there are quadrants inside the circle. Heather, go ahead and put the overlay on here. Okay, so now you'll note Heather's added some more words to this. So outside of the cardinal directions, which just give us 4 names of directions, now we've overlaid it with the 4 aspects of our consciousness. Get ready for a little mind blowing here, people. You are experiencing everything, and you always have, and you always will, always in 4 ways. You experience every situation physically in your body. I started talking with you about nervous system. That's why we start in the south, because we always start in coaching. I ask people to tell me about the situation that they're experiencing, the conflict, whatever they're feeling when they get frustrated in a team meeting, or when someone doesn't update the PowerPoint, or when you get home and someone's left their clothes all over the floor. We start in the south, and that's with our physical body and the sensations in our body and in our nervous system. And then if you go clockwise on the circle, you go to the west, which is our mental models. Our brain has to make meaning of every experience that we have. No matter what, your brain's going to do that, whether you do it consciously or whether you do it unconsciously. Now, if we're in default mode, most likely our brain's just going, and it's assigning meaning to whatever's happening in our body. So if you're pissed, it's going to find a reason that you're pissed. And some people around you might make that easy because maybe they're doing dumb things. I don't know. Sometimes we get pissed and the people around us aren't necessarily doing anything that bad. So there's stuff living in your body and in your nervous system that might not actually be. So I used an example earlier. You had really bad traffic on the way to work and you got a ticket. That might really upset you, and you might carry those feelings in your body all day. And then your mind has to find reasons of that. So it's going to repeat the story until those feelings are gone so that you can justify the feelings that you're having. That takes us up to the north, which is where our emotions live. And sometimes the emotions are the emotions related to the current situation, or they're inspirational, because oftentimes we wish we could feel something else. And when we're making change, or we want to make change, like I want to quit this job, people will say to me. I'm like, really? Why? Well, because I want to feel more valued. That's an inspirational emotion that lives here on the wheel too. And then, whether you know it or not, I'm sure that you know, in the east is our spiritual connection. It's our connection to something that's bigger than us. And that's where we get the highest level of aspiration and where we connect to our purpose. Now, I know I'm running out of time. I don't want you to dismiss this. It works. It's been around for a long time. It will be around for a long time after you and me. It is a simple model that can be used at any moment in time. And I just did it very quickly with you. You start in the south in any moment, no matter what you're triggering or what's happening in your body. You follow it around clockwise and you say, I feel agitated. I feel annoyed. I feel happy. Why? And you make meaning of what your brain is telling you is the reason for that. And then you start to wish something would happen as your emotions start to get labeled and you start to understand it. And then hopefully you find purpose or a path forward that is the best version of the story as we go around. Now, I'm going to do a longer training on this because so many people right now are needing this medicine. We need simple models to help us break out of old patterns. So if you want to make change, or any of your family members or team members want to make change, thank you, Heather. This is a really easy, great way to start. And if you want to know more about the medicine wheel, I have a blog about it on our website. Heather's put all the links right here in the chat. I know some of you probably are still like, I don't understand, or maybe this feels weird, or the language of it is foreign. That's a pattern interrupt. So hopefully you're curious. And if you are to the point where you really, really want to make change and you don't know how to do that, I would be happy to spend time with you and take this a little deeper. Anybody and everybody I know who starts to use this simple and elegant model will tell you it works. And then you're not stuck anymore. Okay, I've gone over time. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you next week. Now every Tuesday at 3 p.m., Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Okay, bye. Get the link. Don't forget, check out that book too that I put in there, Body Keeps the Score. So good. Bye.